Oh shit! Yeah, for sure. I think about that
Yeah.
every now and then. That's me,
Yeah.
you, Dave Ryshpan, and Hermeto Pascoal.
Whew.
So at the
Yeah.
time, I didn't speak Portuguese, but I do now, and I wish that I could have
Wow.
spoken Portuguese then because I would have
It's
had so
true.
much more to say to him.
Oh my God.
But yeah, we drove down to Burlington, Vermont, to go and see him perform, and we got the chance to hang out with him after. He actually gave us a composition that he wrote that day.
Yes.
Um, that he wrote on a piece of paper that he with his weird stick makeshift ledger lines and or whatever stabs, and he kind of just gave it to us as like our own personal composition of his, and that was really really sweet. And in exchange, I gave him a piece of music that I wrote, but I don't think he gives a shit about that. But he's a
I remember
legendary.
you at the time you just
Yeah.
gave it to him, and then afterwards you're like, oh my God, I regret doing that.
Well, I didn't regret it. I mean, I just thought that it was like, why did I like?
Yeah.
It like the gesture was cooler than than what actually will happen from him. Or who knows? Maybe he's playing my
Who
song
knows?
at
Who
every
knows?
gig out in
Yeah.
somewhere in northeastern Brazil.
Yeah.
But he is a Brazilian legend. He's a incredible composer, an incredible multi instrumentalist. Just a really really like a brilliant mind, and it was well worth it to cross the border. You know what? I actually had to. I didn't realize about a week before that my passport was expiring like a month
Oh my
after,
God.
and because
Which,
we were like, yeah, so because my like the show was I think April 5th, 2012 or something like that, and or the show rather was like April 5th or something like that, 2012, and my passport was expiring like in May, and I said, "Oh my God, I will I might be declined at the border, right? Because you have to have it to extend 6 months past whenever it is that you're traveling there." So I had to fucking pay like $130, and this is at a time when I'm not doing well,
right.
particularly well financially, or I guess I was. I had my job at Marinopolis Library at that time. In any way, whatever the thing is, it was like paying $130 to get your passport fast tracked because of your own stupidity. It was so upsetting that I had to do that, but it was so worth it. It was just like it was amazing.
Yeah.
The concert was incredible, and
It
just to
was
be there to have that
mind-blowing.
photo taken at the ending was great. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I wasn't bringing this up for this reason, but it makes me realize that, part of the inspiration for like the Q system was watching the way he performs,
Oh
and
yeah,
the way
100%.
yeah, and I was just, so, obviously I'll give a little context. Like he gives gestural cues, like physical cues, and just
Yeah,
the way he moves, and I don't think they're necessarily worked out in any way. He's just kind of, spasming, and the band
yeah,
reacts to those things.
yeah. But I mean,
And
it's like the band
Mhm.
they've been playing together for so
Well, that's
long.
it.
The
And his
drummer, I
son,
believe,
I
is his
think, was in
son.
the band.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So I mean, and he hops from instrument to instrument,
Well,
and
that's yeah.
he's so fluid. Like
Yeah.
he reminds me of those people who like I want to be like that one day. And it's not even about like technical mastery. I've been thinking about it, and I don't necessarily strive. I don't think I ever will be, like a Herbie Hancock, Hermeto Pascoal kind of like
Right.
absolute master. And I'm coming to terms with that only now, thankfully.
You only now have realized you are
No, no, I
neither
mean,
Herbie Hancock or
I've always known that I never would be. I'm saying that
right.
I'm coming to terms with it. Like
Right.
it was
Sure.
something that I grappled with much more. It was like I
Yeah.
was upset with myself because I couldn't, reach that level. But now I'm okay with that. But the thing that I admire about them that I do want to have is that sense of freedom when I'm making music. And it's like, it's a kind of a philosophical thing, but I just want to be one with the song, one with the music that I'm playing. Like Hermeto Pascoal was like whatever it was that he was playing in that moment, he embodied that to the extent that like his physical body was an extension of the composition itself. Like there's no transition between him and the song, and I don't know if that makes sense. It's a really esoteric thing I'm saying, but it's just like
I
the ease
feel
with
you.
which he plays and the way that he just like he just knows what he's doing. He hears it in his head. He hears it all through his body, and I love that. For me, like there have been moments where it wasn't even about playing an amazing solo, but it was just feeling really connected to the music.
Yeah.
I've had moments where I felt connected to the music, but kind of few and far between. Like I always feel connected to the music, but where I feel one with the music. I mean, we're two atheists here speaking, and like I'm, talking about being one with the music is odd.
Right.
But I really mean that.
But I don't think that has anything to do with spiritual. Well, for us, it doesn't have anything to do with spirituality. But
I mean, it might, but I mean, to me, I'm not looking at it that way.
That's what I'm saying. We don't see it that way. So, being atheist or not, I don't think.
Right.
Neither here nor there. But anyway.
Right. Sure. But yeah, the one with the music to me is my goal, and it doesn't have to be, with playing amazing solos, but it just has to. It just means feeling like you know the music through and through. It's just inside of you, and it like emanates from you without any effort.
Mm-hmm. I think for me,
you're like, yeah, okay.
No. I agree. I think for me, part of like the way I would relate to that, or the way I would relate like Hermeto and all that, is I think it. Okay, so living in Montreal and learning how to play jazz and all this kind of thing, I think we cannot help but be influenced by the New York jazz scene, and I love New York. I love the New York jazz scene, and we cannot help but be influenced by that. And there is a certain striving for perfection and a certain aesthetic in the music, and I feel that Hermeto's music does not have the same aesthetic at all, and he's just fucking going for it. He's just fucking going for it. And it doesn't matter if there's a few issues here and there. And so this idea of being like, I'm just this is how the music makes me feel right now. Like at some point he starts dancing with his wife in the middle of the show just because this music makes me feel that way. Could that ever happen at a New York jazz show? Like, no, of course not, And sort of tying this into whatever, not tying. This is just, normally I focus very much on the guests, but I just want to say this little thing, which is that I feel like there's that same thing I found in New Orleans. And that people there have the same kind of like fucking going for it when they play. And they'll like, let's dance to the music. That's not lost. That idea has not been lost,
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's true. Yeah. I hear you. I mean, I've never been to New Orleans and I'd love to go. It's a place that Aza and I both really want to visit one day and explore. We'll see if we ever do. I mean, who knows what'll be of the States.
Yeah, I don't know what the situation. I mean, anyway, yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Basically, I'm like I've always felt that way about New Orleans music. I was a little late in the game to get into it, but definitely, more that southern sound in the U.S. is something that I feel has that kind of freedom that maybe you don't necessarily hear with like, the New York chops.
Right.
Chops McCann's.
Yeah. Well, it's I just feel that people are more kind of connected to the music as not just this abstract pure thing, but it's really just like part of life. It's just like part of culture, part of life. That's really
for sure.
And anyway, tying that back to Hermeto, that's really how I feel that he's got a similar kind of understanding.